Hello folks, my name is Marvel Master and I welcome you to my fifth and final video tutorial about the Unreal Engine 4.16 Cloth editor. In video number 4 I showed you how to make a cloth collide with world objects. This was a hacky, fakey workaround, but this time in video number 5 I will basically show you how to grab and throw world objects against cloth, and not only grab and throw them, also spawning them. You might have seen my latest video. I am spawning physics objects, grabbing them and throwing them into a cloth set. This is again a very hacky workaround in some sort of fake, but as you can see, it's working. So let me begin with a little bit of theory. In the last video I explained that object can only collide with cloth if it's in the same or within the same FBX file. So if the world object isn't in the same FBX file, there can't be any collision between the cloth and the ball, let's say. And the way we are going to do this now is we will attach the ball from the FBX file to the spawned actor, to the spawned world actor, and then the spawned world actor will be fake colliding with the cloth set. So let's begin in Unreal Engine 4.16. For this tutorial I'm going to use the tutorial file. I'm working on the whole tutorial series, and let's begin creating a little box for spawning our actors. So right click in Unreal Engine 4 and create a new blueprint class. Let's make it an actor and call it ball spawner. We add a component here, make it a cube for example, or whatever you want. Scale it whatever you want. I leave it like this for now, and we have to make a little edit to the blueprint because we need the location of this ball spawner. And on begin play we get the world location of this and make a variable of this and call this ball spawner location. Okay. So now that the blueprint is ready, we can place it into the world. I would say I spawn it up here, and from this box our balls will be spawned. So next step is we're going to need to create a physics world object, basically the balls that are coming out of the box. So let's again right click into Unreal Engine, create another blueprint class actor and call it world ball object or whatever we want to. Now we are adding a component here, this time a sphere of course because it's a ball, and hit compile. And for this to be working we need to make it an physics object. Where is it? Simulate physics is here. This makes it an physics actor. You can change the color if you like. I leave it white this time. And now we can close this one. I told you this is going to be a really fakey, hacky workaround for this. So for this to be working, I place the ball into the world and scale it to the exact size of our ball from the FBX file. So let's say let's say like this, a little bit bigger. Okay, now we can see what scale it has. Let's say it's 0.88. Now we can delete it in the world again, and go again into the blueprint of the ball, select the sphere, and in the viewport you can see the scale, and now we scale all values to 0.88. Nope, I did something wrong here. Okay. Okay, this should be it for the first part. Now our ball spawner has been created and our world ball object has been created. So now let's start with opening our character blueprint. In my case it's a third person character. And here what we are going to do is spawn our ball from the ball spawner location. So let's say when hitting the middle mouse button, we do once that you can't spam the button with a little delay. We are going to get all actors of the class, of the ball spawner class, and get get the ball spawner location from that blueprint. And at this location we are going to spawn an actor, in this case world ball object actor, on the location or transform of the ball spawner location. So let's compile and test it. So when I'm pressing now the middle mouse button, the ball should be spawning. Well, okay. I forgot to disable the collision for the ball spawner. So let's do this. The cube, of course, does not need any collision. And now when I'm hitting the middle mouse button, you can see many balls are spawning. I can interact with them now. But as you might see, there is no interaction with the cloth set. By the way, if you got this problem with these hopping balls, this came with the update 4.16. I think you can disable this in settings, project settings. Let me see. Physics is a little bit hidden under simulation, and enable PCM is activated. When you are deactivating it, the balls are not hopping anymore. Now we have created the world objects, and we can go on editing the blueprint mechanics for this. Back in our first person character, let me first comment this to spawn balls, and let's go on with the mechanic. So when I'm pressing the left mouse button, let's say I'm going to do a line trace for objects. In this case, I'm going to define the object types with a variable. Let's call the variable object type and compile, and then I can add an object type. In this case, we are line tracing for physics buddies. If you have ever done line trace, you might know what I'm doing now. I get the location of my capsule component and get the forward vector, get world location, and get forward vector. Then in this case I'm multiplying or adding a vector of 70 in the z-axis, because I'm going to do the line trace from the foot of my character. And this is going to be the start point of my line trace. And down here I am multiplying the vector with a float. This will be the length of my line trace. In this I'm going to add with the world location, and this will result in a line trace. I can check if this worked by choosing a debug type and testing it. Now whenever I hit the mouse button, a line trace is created, as you can see. Okay. Now again, back in the blueprint, the line trace is finished. Now we can go on with the next step of the mechanic. This is basically creating a hit result. So let's say we break the hit result and are looking for a hit component. This hit component we will promote a variable for. In this case I'm calling it world physics object. This is just the ball we are spawning later, but because we are going to spawn multiple balls, this will add components to the world. Okay, and now the next step is attaching the ball from the FBX file to our character. Unfortunately, there isn't a simple solution for this, so we have to create a physics handle and object, and with this we can grab the ball by the bone. But for this to be working, we have to first create an blueprint from our skeletal mesh file of the cloth asset. So right click on it and create not create, but set actions create blueprint using this. So this will create a blueprint by using this. I'm calling it the same fake word object collide blueprint. Okay, now the blueprint has been created. For the skeletal mesh we can give another name, let's say my cloth component. So save, compile, and then we can go back to our character blueprint. Now we can go on and get all actors of class from this blueprint we just created. So I call it fake word object collide blueprint. Okay, now we can go on attaching the ball from the cloth asset to our character. First we are going to get our actor transform. From here we are dragging out a line and add physics handle component. Now you can connect the get all actors of class and the add physics handle component. From this add physics handle component we are dragging out a return value and promote variable, and I am going to call it cloth ball physics handle. And another thing we need is the mesh object from our cloth asset, from the cloth blueprint we created. So we again go to get all actors of class and dragging out a line here, type get a copy, and I forgot what I called the mesh object, so I go again into our blueprint of the cloth asset. Okay, I called it my cloth component. So I'm getting my cloth component. If it's not displayed here, disable context sensitivity, and there should be the right value, the right variable. So I'm getting my cloth component, and from here I'm promoting another variable, again by clicking on context sensitivity and promote variable. And this is going to be the cloth ball physics object. Okay. Now connect them like this. Don't connect them via blue line. And we need these both variables for or objects for grabbing the ball, because the only way to grab a bone is by creating a physics object of it. Okay, now let's go on. Drag out a line from the physics object and get the center of mass. But I forgot one thing. Before dragging out the line, click on the physics object and make sure that it is not a skeletal mesh. It needs to be a primitive component. Yes. Okay, once it's a primitive component, you can drag out a line and get center of mass. And you need to type a bone here. In this case we want the bone of the ball, and to check what its name was we can go into the physics asset again, and here you can see the ball has the name ball bone. So we type in here ball bone. So our character will grab the mesh only by the ball bone. Okay. Now when we got center of mass, we can drag out a line and grab not context sensitive, grab component at location. And for location we can use the return value of get center of mass. The bone name will again be the ball bone, and the target in this case will be our physics handle. So let me drag this like this. Target will be the physics handle, and the component will be the cloth ball object. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to make a little debug. I'm setting the physics angular velocity to 0, because when attaching the ball or grabbing the ball to the character, it will be spinning rapidly, and this is not what we want. So we again set the bone name of ball bone here, and the target will be again the cloth ball physics object. You don't have to do this, but it's a better result in this way. So for this to be working properly, we also need to set simulate physics of the spawned ball actor, in this case the world physics object, to disable, because it would be colliding with the ball from the FBX cloth set. That's not what we want. So once not colliding, but it would be simulating physics, and the result wouldn't be the same as we want. What I wanted to say was we have to disable the collision for the world actor and the ball from the FBX cloth set. So we are set collision response to all channels to ignore, and in this case we are using the world physics object and the cloth ball physics object. So this, both the world actor and the ball from the cloth set will be at the same location, and that's why we have to disable the collision. Otherwise there would be crazy jumping and humping. Okay, let's compile this and check if anything is working. Of course, for this to be working, we need to place the cloth blueprint we created into the world. So I'm placing it like this. Let's rotate it by 190, like that. Okay, now when I'm pressing the middle mouse button, it's spawning balls. And once I hit the middle mouse button, something should happen. Or not yet. Okay, then just let's go on. Of course nothing is happening because we didn't set the location for the ball. Okay, then let's go on by setting location of the balls from the cloth set and the world actor. We are doing this by, best way is doing this by creating a timeline. Let's call it set location timeline. But we are not going to play it, we are going to play it from start every time it's called. In here we are going to loop it, because this is basically a tick that will set the location of the ball from the cloth set to the location of the world actor. So going on from here, we are going to create a new variable. From testing, I've already created a variable, so I'm going to use this. If you don't have this variable, just create a variable that is in vector. I called it a ball handle location. So once you've created it, you can connect update with this set ball handle location, and the location of the ball handle will be the actor location. So again, get actor location, and I don't want it to be at the same location at the actor, but a little bit above him. So I'm going to multiply to add a vector to a vector, and I'm adding the vector z-axis, let's say to 120, so it will be a little bit above our character. So now we are going on. Once we set the ball handle location, we are dragging out a line here and set the target location. And the target in this case will be our cloth ball physics handle. And the location will be updated by the ball handle location. So the cloth ball physics handle will always be at the location of our character, or a little bit above. And another thing we have to do now is to set the location of the world actor to the same location as the cloth ball physics handle. We're doing this by set world location and rotation in this case, and the target will be the world physics object, the actor we are spawning. And to get the location of this, we need to get our cloth ball physics object, and we need to get the a socket transform. You also could get the bone transform, but it does not work as intended. So we need to get a socket transform. I'm right clicking and splitting the pin structure here, so we can only use the location as return value and rotation as return value. Of course, the scale should be the same always. And for this to be working, we now need one necessary step. So just compile, and as you can see, we need a socket name here. So we have to create a socket in our cloth set. So I'm going to, or into my skeleton mesh of the cloth set, and go into the skeleton. And now I'm going to right click on the ball bone and add a socket. It's called ball bone socket. I'm going to copy it here. And the ball bone socket now, as you can see, is at the center of the skeleton mesh, but we want it to be in the center of the ball, so we have to edit the location of the socket. So for better view, I'm going to top mode to get it in the center of the ball, and the right mode, and the front. Okay, and this should be fine. So now the socket is in the center of the ball. We are going to save this and close this, and now in our character blueprint we can insert the ball bone socket. And now I can compile and save. And now when I'm playing, let's see if anything's happening. I'm pressing the middle mouse button and trying to attach by pressing left mouse button a ball to my character. but as you can see, it's not attaching. It's attaching to the ball of the cloth asset, right, but not to my character. So that's because in the blueprint we put in the world, simulate physics is disabled, so we have to enable it, and we have to set collision for this asset. And in this case we are going to use block all and hit save. And when I'm going to play this again, hitting the middle mouse button and then pressing left mouse button, then both balls are at the same location. And now when I'm going to the cloth asset, it's colliding. So now what we are going to do is setting the material for the ball from the cloth asset. In this case it has the wood material, so let's jump into it and make it translucent, and let's use an opacity of 0. And the ball from the cloth asset should be magically gone now. And once compiling is finished, so now it looks like when I'm spawning balls here, I can attach one of them word object to my character and run into the flag. Okay, and the last thing we have to do now is making it possible to throw this ball and then grab another ball. This we are going to do simply by again going in our character blueprint, and then I say when I'm using the right mouse button, I release a component. In this case it is my physics handle, cloth ball physics handle. Then I'm going to set a collision response to channel, in this case to my pawn, to my character, to block, and as target I'm going to use our two objects, the cloth ball physics object and the world physics object. Once the collision to the pawn has been set, I'm again setting the collision to channel, and this time again as target I'm going to use this both objects, and I'm using world static and again block, so that our ball isn't falling through the ground but can still collide with our character. And the last step is adding impulse. Add an impulse. As target I'm using the cloth ball physics object, of course. And as impulse I'm going to, or impulse direction, I'm going to get my capsule component, get the forward vector, and multiplying it with a float. Let's say 2000, and input it here and check velocity change, and don't forget to set the bone name. In this case it's again ball bone. So hit compile and save, and then when I'm going to play again, hitting middle mouse button, attaching the ball to my character and pressing right mouse button, the ball should be thrown, but it shouldn't be falling through the ground. Let me check. There must be something wrong. Let's make the ground word static. Block all. Let's make the ground block all, so it shouldn't be falling through the ground, at least. Yes. Perfect. So now this ball is thrown. Can still collide with my character. And I can get another ball and throw this again. Okay, this should be basically it. It's just the base of a blueprint. It's way not perfect. There are many things to consider and take care of if you want to use this. What you can do with this is you can, well, you could make 16 bones in your cloth asset, spawn 16 actors, and with the use of arrays you can, by spawning an actor, directly attach a bone of them 60 to this actor. So each actor has a single bone to it, and you could basically play with them. And another thing you could do with this is when spawning your character, you can, or you could attach these balls invisibly to bones of your character. That when your character is walking through the flag, it would create the illusion of the character colliding with the flag or cloth asset. Okay, so I think I am finished here. So I am finished with this tutorial series then anyways. And I know the last tutorial was a little bit longer, but I really hoped you liked it so far. If you got any questions so far, or any questions in the whole process, write a comment below. I'm also going to upload the whole file of this tutorial, this whole project file of this tutorial, to a cloud server, so you can download and check the blueprint. And if you liked this video and this video series, don't forget to leave a like. And if you want to see other tutorials of this or of Unreal Engine 4, then please write a comment below, and I would say see you in the next time.